Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Hey. Hope you're doing good. Karl Bryan coming at you. I'm coming at you solo tonight because my boy, a road dog, weren't able to make it. So I'm here today doing it solo. So there you go. And what am I going to do? I think I'm just going to rattle off some random thoughts. That's my plan. See what you guys think. And before I do that, you follow my daily email, and you should, in my opinion, if you don't. But you know what I do? I always start it with a joke. So I was thinking how appropriate if we start this random solo session with a couple jokes. Let's see how I do. So here's an email from yonks ago. And what does it say? So it was my birthday, and my dad asked me what I wanted. So here was our conversation. Dad, Karl, what do you want for your birthday? 10-year-old me. Tampons. My dad, shocked. He goes, tampons? What in the world? You're 10 years old. Why would you want tampons? 10-year-old me. Well, I was watching TV, and they said that with tampons, I'll be able to go biking, skiing, and even swimming. Okay. Now that I've offended the female contingent, which I apologize, but hey, I was going to say that I'm just reading it, but I'm not reading it because I wrote it. But anyways, okay. There was another one that I thought was pretty funny. It says, I'm sitting in the ER right now. I really don't want to get into the details, but I'll just say that the quote unquote Dyson ball cleaner is a very misleading name. Is that good? Pretty stupid. Okay, I got a few more. I'm going to skip over them. I don't know how this is going. Never know how these kind of things are going to fly, like when you do stand-up comedy live, you're looking into the audience, and if it lands, everybody laughs, and if it doesn't land, nobody laughs. So But anyways, okay, so you guys know that my poor, beautiful wife married me 14 years. God bless her. Don't know how she's done it, frankly. But anyways, I'm going to make fun of her here just for fun. She gets some of my emails, I'll tell you, I don't get spoken to for a day or two every once in a while. And she doesn't listen to my podcast. So shh, don't tell. All right, wifey. So she was feeling all loving. Okay. And I had my phone, and she decided to send me a text. And this is what the text read. Wifey, if you're sleeping, send me your dreams. If you're laughing, send me your smile. If you're eating, send me a bite. If you're drinking, send me a sip. If you're crying, send me your tears. I love you, Karl. Here's my response. I'm on the toilet. Please advise. Is that funny? I don't know. She'll probably end up listening to this. I'll get in trouble. I'm not going to be spoken to. Okay, let's do one more. I know my wife thinks I'm hot because every time I walk by, I can hear her say, "What an ass." Hey, shout out to the old husbands out there. Actually, here's one more. Last one. So my wife and I were deciding where we were going to go on holidays. So I pulled out the world map, gave my wife a dart, and I said, baby, throw this, and wherever it lands, I'll take you there when the pandemic ends. So it looks like we're spending 2 weeks behind the fridge. Ha 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 ha. And obviously that was written during one COVID time. Wasn't that fun? Remember that period of your life? Wearing masks in your car and driving around, and people being very non-judgmental. Haha, joke. Laugh again. Okay, so all right, let's get into it. So I just look, we'll see how this is going to go, but I'm just like random thoughts that I'm going to throw out there. Um, okay, so I sent something out recently, and it was something to do with like non-binary. Yeti, yeti, yeti. Your opinion on that is your opinion on that, and I am fine with it. But somebody wants to be non-binary, go for it. But what I was talking about is what's non-binary are things like passion, right? So are you passionate? It's not yes, no. The question is, what level of passion do you have, right? You're not hungry. When I say hungry, I mean like motivated, not like for food, although that would work as well. Are you hungry? It's not, are you hungry? Like, are you hungry or not? It's just the level of hunger that you feel, right? Maybe right after you eat, you might not be too peckish, but hopefully you get the idea. But hunger, as in like hungry to pick up the phone, to knock on the door, to get in contact with somebody, to really change somebody's existence, really get it cranking. You know, it's not are you hungry or are you not? It's what level of hunger. Right? You've ever heard me talk? The beautiful Serena Williams, just retired, using one of the examples that I always gave. Like, she's got more money than she's ever going to need, ever going to be able to spend in 3 lifetimes. Right? What motivated her to continue to wake up at 5 a.m. and hit golf ball or hit golf balls, tennis balls, bright and early. What is it? And it's just the level of hunger that she has versus a competitor. It just ranks higher. Again, that's non-binary. It's not is she hungry, is she not? It's what level of hunger does she have? Again, Roger Federer. I'll let you decide. Did he have a significantly higher? Was his level of hunger a little higher than the competition? And the reality is, back in his day, the answer was yes. So there's passion, there's hunger, there's drive. It's not are you driven or are you not? Is your client driven or are they not? It's to what level are they driven? Is your client going to follow the advice that you have? Yes or no? It's to what level are they going to follow? So hopefully I think that there's power in that. In fact, I get a lot of really positive feedback when I sent that out in an email not too long ago, but I want you to be thinking about that, right? And then the things that have a higher level of passion, higher level of drive, higher level of, motivation, they're going to help you. I have a very high level of motivation, passion, and all the rest for the business coaching world, right? I just love to learn. Truthfully, I'm doing this. It's pretty late at night, and I just, I'm wanted to get this thing out there, and I'm pounding it out late. Again, had to get my, daughter to bed, and had to get some dinner ready, and to do, and I just just it was happening. So that was that. So what is it for you? Again, maybe when you're thinking about niches, are you significantly more? Do you love cars? He's got a mad passion for cars, old cars, custom cars. Well, there's all kinds of different niches within the automobile, quote unquote, industry that you could think about going to, right? And again, are you going to be, you could go to, car museums. You could go to auto body shops. You could go to collectors of cars, So again, and, fitness is your passion. You don't have to go to just personal trainers. There's things like yoga. There's things like meditation. There's things like meditation retreats. Spoke to somebody recently, does really, really well going to rehab centers, right? Again, you got a high level of passion for rehab centers, and that's a niche that, there's you exercise a higher level of, passion, drive, motivation, et cetera, in that niche. Well, that might be right for you. And then, by the way, what about your client? Again, it's not binary. Are they fired up or are they not? Do they follow you or not? It's not the way it is. It's non-binary. So thinking about that, I think that that's got some power. Talking to one of my favorite clients today, John Howard. Shout out to him. Great guy, a doctor. And one of the things I'd like, not like PhD doctor, but like doctor. And one of the things I said, so like you'd never own, like, have you ever seen a doctor's office without a secretary? Okay, it doesn't happen, correct? Okay, so as a business coach, I really think so. You wouldn't have a doctor's office without a secretary. So are you going to be a business coach without a lead generator? Or really, I want you to think copywriter when you think lead generator, and then not somebody who practiced it once and it's like someone who understands writing copy at a professional level. That would be a really, really good idea um, for you to have that person. I'm going to say follow you around, right? But hopefully you get the idea. Um, so if you agree with that, and I'm going to guess that you see a little bit of a little bit of that makes sense. But do you have somebody? Are you going to hire somebody? And then what level of motivation do you have to hire somebody? And it's probably going to be as I'm speaking, like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea, and I'm going to do it. But when we're finished here, and when you wake up tomorrow, are you going to follow through? And are you going to whip out your checkbook, whip out your credit card, pay some cash out of your bank account to somebody to basically follow you around and help you generate leads, generate interest? And a bit of the magic is that a copywriter, like, they are going to be like, one of the mistakes that I would make if I was ripping around, like, I'm not running around social media, like, doing this. It's not what I'm doing with my time. But like, if I were to do it, my instincts are my my instincts would be to just solve the problem right there, right then. And have you ever read anything? See, people, in a lot of cases, they don't want the problem solved that early, right? What you got to do is, if you want to motivate somebody, you need to understand what motivates them. And you ever had somebody like, this person really gets me, right? Like, it's 3 weeks later and somebody just, they really, this person really resonated with you. This person really just left their mark. Okay, well, a copywriter will understand some of the reasons that happened. Like, don't get into the solution too quick. You've got to build rapport. You got to share the struggle. Like, oh, I know the government are a pack of idiots. I know these taxes are brutal. Oh my gosh, inflation's driving me mad. And you know what I mean? Like, you got to go into to build rapport, you got to share the struggle kind of thing and then bring them up. But my instincts would be likely, I want to solve the problem too quickly kind of thing. So anyway, so I think I think there's some serious value in that. And again, would a doctor have a secretary? Would an accountant have a secretary? And the answer is yes and yes, like always. When I say always, not always, but like pretty, if you have any, almost always. Let's just go with always. Okay. Here's something else. Do you get frustrated? Does your client get frustrated with the business going up and down? Like that roller coaster. I got leads. I got no leads. I got appointments. I got no appointments. I got clients. I got no clients. I got money in the bank account. I got no money in the bank account. Like, you get that sort of, crazy eight / roller coaster up and down. Okay, look, 80, if you've ever heard me talk about 80/20, and again, understand that 80/20, it's the magic of 80/20 is not 80/20. The magic of 80/20 is to keep going 80/20 of the 20, 80/20 of the 20, 80/20 of the 20, you get to 150. And then 1% of your activity, 1% of your clients, 1% of your um, support tickets, that sort of thing. Like, 1% represents 50. And again, that you think about that, it's like, really, look, it's a universal principle. You're not getting away from it. I'm not getting away from it. Well, ebb and flow is a universal principle, right? So your business going up and down, your mind going up and down, you feeling massive levels of motivation, hunger, passion, etc. Like in that non-binary, like, oh my gosh, my passion's at a 10. And then all of a sudden it goes through the floor and you wonder what happened. Like, ebb and flow is a universal principle. So it happened to Steve Jobs. It happened to Bill Gates. It happened to Jeff Bezos. It happened to Zuckerberg. It happened to Elon Musk. It happened to Michael Dell, etc. Tony Robbins, believe me. Tony Robbins is, depending upon how much you know about his material, that sort of thing. But believe me, it was so far from a straight upward trajectory. It'd be mind boggling. So don't get frustrated with the ebb and flow. Screw it up and see what happens. I remember a long time ago, one of my first ever coaches, he made me, like, I had a book, so, multiple books, but put out a book years and years ago, like 2005, 6, 7-ish. Don't even remember. Doesn't matter. I was doing a presentation. It's a pretty large audience. They'd all paid 10 grand to be there, approximately. Um, and basically, and I would have been one of the younger people in the room. I was having a lot of success. I was pretty early on. Um, and what I said from the stage was screw it up and see what happens. And then basically, Tyler, the coach at the time, made me sign one of my books with, he said, you got to write that. He goes, it's so good. And then the other day, so we've got this, what I refer to as an ER. What we're doing, um, okay, before I continue that thought, what we are doing from a lead generation standpoint, we're doing some heavy work in that area to really refine generating leads for a business coach, which leads to appointments, which leads to clients, and all built around our software, right? And the metaphor that I'm using is it's like an ER. So you ever been to the hospital? And no doubt you have. And there's like there's respiratories here, and then the maternity ward is there, and then there's cancer on different floor, and then there's whatever else, whatever, I mean, all these different areas, right? Different floors, different areas of the hospital, right? And they've all got their individual door. There's a sign on the front, you walk in, right? But in the emergency room, everything comes together, right? And it's for a short period of time, but you're in there for the night, and then you'll get shipped off into one of these areas, right? To have surgery or whatever it might look like. But you got this ER process. So I want you to think. So with our lead gen, what we're doing is we're doing this hardcore ER where I said I want to bring everybody together for a short period of time, about 90 days, and we're going to basically, tighten this thing up and create these processes and really, drill down. Um, so so that's what we're doing. Um, on that, then I'm like, oh my gosh, where was I going? So anyway, so my Scott Walker, one of my, so he's my business development manager. Been with me. He's been top sales guy for literally a decade. Great guy. Some of you listening to this would have spoken to him, but legend of a guy. And anyway, we were talking one day, and he said, the number one thing that I learned from you, I learned, one of the very first calls we had really early on, because I was battling. He's a bit of a perfectionist, played professional baseball, a bit of a perfectionist, and will self-admittedly tell you that he's been guilty of getting in his own way. And then what I said to him was, "Look, Scott, stop overthinking it. Don't worry about it. Um, just screw it up and see what happens." Right. And he said that was the most valuable thing I ever said, because it was like, he's a baseball player, right? If you know baseball, you know that if you hit the ball 3 out of 10 times, you're batting 300, and you get paid about $10 million a year to do that in the major leagues, right? So 3 out of 10 is amazing in baseball. So we brought the metaphor back to, baseball, and just said, that's right. Like in baseball, what did I do? I didn't make contact every time. I struck out, but I never stopped swinging. And he was like, that really helped him. So screw it up, see what happens. Um, and that was so. Then Scott said that on the ER call. Scott had said that, and then he was like, "Look, you've got to get these guys to do something." So again, I wrote an email very recently, but just like momentum is a force multiplier, right? Like you got to get things going. And I found like one of the things actually literally just today I had a little bit of a revelation, and it was just like through not happenstance, but just because we go on hammer and tong, hammer and tong, hammer and tong. It's like if you like, okay, the lead generator is important, but I got to tell you, if you pick up the phone, if you send out the messages, if you might leave the comments on social media, if you lick the stamps and send out, literally, print out the letters and fold them and put them in the envelopes. I mean, you wouldn't do that long term, but if you did do that for a period of time, think of the ER. I'm going to tell you what you would learn, and not so much just learn, but the force multiplier effect of motivation. Like I just said, I had like this revelation just like literally today, right? And I got to tell you that it came from the force multiplier effect more than, well, yeah, just that's where it came from. I mean, I just, through whatever kind of came with, like an insight, somebody just comes to you like, oh my gosh, this will be amazing. And yeah, so it came from that. So there you go. So if you are screw it up and see what happens. If you are struggling to generate leads, which we hear all the time, and if that is you, I promise you, lead generation. If you want to build a 7-figure coaching company, it's about the fulfillment, not the lead gen, right? The lead gen is a system, I'm telling you. It's just not anywhere near as hard as everybody makes it. Not to mention, if you're a client of ours, I literally say this in the opening video, but like 15 one-to-one clients and you'd be flat out, right? So generally speaking, depending upon where you're at in your career, and if you had 20 clients at $2,000 a month, that's 480 grand. And if you had 10 clients at $2,000 a month, that'd be 240 grand and 70 to 80% margins, which is amazing. Like what I'm getting at, you just don't need to generate that many leads to have, 10, 15, 20 clients, right? So, so just screw it up, see what happens, one foot in front of the other. And I lost my train of thought. Sorry, guys. But so what I was saying there, like lead generation. So I've got a saying, and again, you would have heard me say this in the podcast. If you're a client, you've definitely heard it. But if you introduce me to a business coach with a lack of leads, I'll introduce you to a business coach with a lack of confidence. This comes back to confidence. It's just not that hard. But when you're lacking confidence, because a lot of people, especially in a subconscious level, not conscious, but subconscious level, you're scared of yes more than you're scared of no. It's like, what if somebody actually says yes? I don't know what to do next, and I'm going to get found out. So, bit of momentum, give you it's a force multiplier. Something else that I wrote down was the groundedness of a grandfather, right? Like, I just want you to think of you're speaking to, hopefully it's your grandfather, somebody's grandfather, but to a grandfather, like my old man, he's 80 years old, lots of experience, just type of guy. He just make you laugh like you have no idea. So quick. He's still got his bearings. Unbelievable. Cognitively, he's right there, not moving like a gymnast anymore, but he's, cognitively he's there, but he just has that level of confidence, and he's just got nothing to prove. Been there, done that, got the postcard. He's lived all around the world, had a great life, accomplished lots. Made lots, lost lots. He's got one of those. He's one of those guys. If you sit down with him, I promise you, it'd be entertaining. I'm going to interview him one of these days, and you probably take away some nuggets. But I'll just tell you this. When you're speaking to somebody, and you speak too fast, and you kind of leave and you kind of got that, oh, I made a meal of that, that was like a dog's breakfast. I want you to think of just speaking with the groundedness of a grandfather, a guy who has been there, a guy who has done that, a guy who's got exactly nothing to prove. And all he really does is care at the deepest level about you, about your family, about your positive results and your success. Speak from that place. And I think that you might find that might be pretty powerful. Another way, Zig Ziglar would say something different. And I'm going to say that it's kind of exactly the same, but different. He will say that when he's speaking to a prospect trying to close them, he positions it that this is a 5-year-old boy, your son, or your daughter, right? But let's just say your son sitting on the bed, and he's been a bad, 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 bad boy, and you are done. It now. What you're there to do is explain to him that what he's done, that he can't do that anymore, that he's going to have a timeout in his room. He is not going to be coming out. There's going to be no TV. There's going to be no computer, no iPad, no nothing. And he's been a bad boy. He needs to learn from this experience so that he becomes better, and that it just can't be happening again, or the repercussions are going to be significantly greater. Like he would say, so speak to them from that place, which I believe is very similar to the groundedness of a grandfather. But I need to think about that, because it's again, it's not what you say, it's what they hear, the way they hear it, right? Again, you can't motivate somebody if you don't know what motivates them. It's of the same, different, but the same family, and that when you say something, it's seven. Did I say this on the podcast recently? And I've got my daughter, like I'm hitting her up with this thing that 7% of my poor daughter. Sometimes you're like, Dad, stop it, right? Stop teaching me. Go away. But 7% of communication are the words, right? And that leaves 93% with my bad math. There you go. 93%. It's the tonality, it's the speed. If you're face to face, there's a lot of body language in there, but if you're over the phone, it's the volume, it's the words that you put, that you accentuate. It's the rounding down of your voice towards the end of the sentence. It changes. So anyway, so learning all that sort of stuff, I think it's got a lot of power. But so yeah, it's not what you say, it's what they hear, and that's got power. Um, Here's something else. Like, you get a 5x return on exercise. Without going deep on this, and I don't pretend to be like the fitness guru, because I am not. But that being said, I take my health very seriously. I encourage you to take your health very seriously, and I take the health of my family very seriously. Um, so what you're going to find, so if you do, like, if you go hard, I'm going to say 3 times a week. When I say hard, I mean, you really got to run yourself out of breath. Like I say to my daughter every day, like, did you run yourself out of breath? Did you run yourself out of breath? That's a very common thing for me to say to my daughter, because every day I want her to be running herself out of breath. Well, if you work out really hard, okay, to the point where think about your ability to breathe as your engine, okay, and then you're trying to make your engine a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. If you push that envelope, you're going to find that you get a 5x return. I would need to go deeper on this to be able to explain exactly where you're going to get the 5x return, yada, 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 different levels of exercise, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 being like the pace where I could talk, but you would know that I was exercising, kind of thing. And that's like level 2. And then level 5 is like hardcore, pushing it all the way to the limit. Well, here's the value that I want you to take away. If you take supplements, you eat, you take your vitamins every day. Um, let's say that you meditate. That's good for you. Um, Things get hairy. You've got to take, blood, like, things to reduce your blood pressure, your cholesterol, that sort of thing, right? All of those things have a return, okay? But none of them have got, including surgery, by the way, which I believe, like, chemotherapy falls into this, right? Where there is no surgery, there is no supplement, there is no um, meditation or vitamin that will provide you a 5x. Actually, I'm going to take meditation out of there because that's a difficult. I'm going to go things that can be hardcore, like supplements, vitamins that you could measure. When you take blood pressure pills and then you have high blood pressure, like, you could measure that. You get a 5x return on hardcore exercise 3 times a week on your longevity. Okay. So if your goal is to live to 100, and that's my goal, um, you might want to think about that. You want to work out hard 3 times a day, to the point of, expanding your chest and your ability to breathe at a, like, yeah, it's like at some stage, like, if you, here's what I want to say. If you run like super fast, you get, your heart rate goes up, and then your breathing goes, greater, greater, greater. Well, at some points it tops out, and there is no ability to breathe at a higher level. I'm not explaining that properly, and anybody in the health and fitness is laughing at me right now. But hopefully you get the idea, right? You get it to that limit, and you just can't go any further. Well, when you do that, like your muscle, right? When you push bench press, you can only do it, 5 times. And then if you continue to do heavy weight, next thing you know, you're doing it 7 times, right? Like, you push, your lungs work similar to that. So if you start pushing that, you will get a 5x return on your longevity, and no supplement, no surgery, no anything that the doctor could provide you will provide you that level of return. So the question is, and again, no, I think non-binary type of example here, like, what level of desire, passion, motivation do you have to exercise at that level? And it's not going to be whether you do or you don't. It's going to be at what level. And I want to encourage you to really take what I said seriously, if you want to have, um, not just you want to have a long life, and not just a long life, but a significantly higher quality of life, right? Like, as again, you want to turn 80 at what level? Like, often talk about anti-aging, right? Like going to if you want to see how old somebody is, just watch them walk from behind. And you're going to be able to see that some people have significantly better dexterity than others, right? What level is yours? And good news, you can, depending upon where you're at, you can really improve a lot of this stuff. So there you go, 5x return on exercise. I think that's powerful. And by the way, not just for you, but for your clients. All clients, if you take on a client, you should demand that they work out. And if they're not willing to own their mind and their body, they are not going to be willing to own their business. And therefore they're not nearly as good of a client, and they will thank you. It's hard, and this is that accountability. Did you go to the gym? Did you do your push-ups? Did you do your sit-ups? Did you do the treadmill? Did you do the rowing machine? Did you push yourself 3 times this week to the point where you're exercise, expanding your capacity to your lung capacity? Anyways, and then, like, social media success, I'm in the process of playing with some stuff. I'm not even going to say what it is in case it doesn't happen, because I got about a million things going on. But I got a bit of a fun play, right? Like when I see something, again, non-binary. It's not like, do I want to do it? Am I not going to do it? It's like at what level, and it's going to need to excite me at this point in order for me to go and add something to my to-do list. And I assure you, I am not looking. I am looking to take things off, not put them on. But I am obsessed with the business coaching industry and your success and the industry success, etc. So might just do it because I think it might be a lot of fun and provide a lot of value. And when I provide a lot of value to you, by the way, guess who learns more? I've written, like, I don't even know, but close to 700 daily emails. Guess who's learned more um, than everybody? Guess who's learned the most out of everybody reading? And that would be me, right? The person writing it. So again, a lot of, my emails and whatnot, it's like an ode to myself, right? So you, here's about me. Social media success. Here's what I'm concentrating on. Let's assume that this is a YouTube channel. I'm not going to concentrate on how many clients, how many opt-ins. I know nobody knows better than I, after 700, whatever number of daily emails, well over 600, that, like, momentum is a force multiplier kind of thing. Like, it's just my knowledge and my understanding and my ability to write those emails has compounded. So what I want you to do, if you want to have success with social media, I want you to count 100 posts. Like, put together like a 1 line, 2 line, 3 line, 4 line, cross them out. You got 5. 1 line, 1 line, 1 line, 1 line, cross them out. You got 10. Put 100 posts up in 100 days, or maybe it's 3 a day, by the way. But put 100 posts up, and then talk to me about having social media success. Or do 100 comments on other people's. You'll see a lot of influencers will put, like, just use Dave Ramsey as an example. You're going to see a lot of people looking to amplify their ability to influence, as in their crowd, their herd, their following. They'll post on, people like Dave Ramsey, who has a rabid following. They'll post controversial stuff, educational stuff on their posts, right? So if you started posting on, just people who have like a following, you're going to find that if you put some good stuff out there, and that's the whole idea, you're going to get way, 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 way better. Write 100 comments. And that's, again, I guarantee after you've written 100 comments, you're going to have a completely different understanding of what it takes to write a comment that gets a lot of likes, a lot of hearts, a lot of comments, and, and engagement. And then again, if you want to do a YouTube video, do 100 YouTube videos, okay, and then talk to me. Before you've done 100 YouTube videos, like, you just don't know what the heck you're doing, right? So just, and before you've done I always say, like, we have a program, Live Event Mastery, run local live events, and it's like, before you've done 10, you're just still in the sandbox. You know what I mean? Like, sure, we want to hear your feedback, but it's just, until you've done 10, just please, you know what I mean? Like, that's what and yes, you can get clients in the first one and the second one, but you got to do your 10 to get the compounding. Remember, you double a penny for 31 days, and what do you got? The answer is $10 million. The problem is you spend an enormous amount of time, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8, 9, 10, 11, and it's incredibly unexciting. In fact, it's unexciting until about a day 24. Okay, and then it gets exciting. Well, Your YouTube videos are going to be very unexciting prior to 100. Your social media posts are going to be very boring up until 100. So I think that's got value. Um, I said recently in an email, like I just spent an enormous amount of money, like let's call it 100 grand, trying to make a cold outreach work, right? But then what does a business coach do? They get started, they make 6 cold calls, and then tell me it doesn't work, right? And it's a bit like live events. It's like social media. It's like buying advertising on social media, um, and it's all the rest. And it's just sending out cold messages. Before you sent out 100 cold messages, made 100 cold calls, you just don't. And then you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't cold call. If you're the person, it's not that you have to do cold calls to succeed in business coaching, but if you're the person that says I won't do cold calls, you just got no hope. And I'm sorry. Like, it's that attitude that will stop you, right? It's the non-binary kind of thing, like the level of passion, desire for other people's success. Because he goes, not cold calling is all about you, and success is all about them. I think it's Zig Ziglar that said, if you want to accomplish everything you want, you got to help other people get what they want, right? I'm making a bit of a meal of that, but that's effectively what he said, right? Um, Coming towards the end here, I'll just tell you, I literally said this today on one of our profit acceleration calls. I was thinking about turning this into a podcast actually, because it went pretty well, and the reaction of Floyd, who I was going back and forth with, which was pretty good. Just in that he just saw something that he didn't otherwise see. And again, I didn't do a heck of a lot apart from, kind of direct him, right? But what am I getting at? Your best client. Who is your ideal client? And before I give you the answer, I want you to think about that, right? Who is your ideal coaching client that's going to comfortably pay you your high end fees, do the work, highly motivated, highly passionate? You say jump, they say how high. Who is it? And you are the one guiding them, right? Who's your best client? And let me just tell you, what did you come up with? I'm curious. Okay. Want me to give it to you? Look in the mirror, and it is you 5 years ago. And then, by the way, do you want to know who is the only person that's a better client than that guy or that gal for you? You 5 years ago? Do you know who that is? The only client that can be better than you 5 years ago in a situation is you 10 years ago. That's it. That's the person you want to be looking for to coach, and you are going to be able to guide them at the highest level. Again, you can't motivate somebody if you don't know what motivates them. And that's why it's really, because you can really get inside that individual quickly. Anyway, so hopefully that's of value. I had something here is little, but like how much time do people, I honest to goodness, I do not know what gas prices are right now. And I promise this isn't like, oh, because I don't care and blah, blah, blah. It's none of that. None of that. I honest to goodness got no clue. And I'm not going to find out anytime soon. And I haven't known for years. And as soon as I even look at it or pay it, I just move on. Okay. So you could spend time saving money on gas. And believe me, it's in the grand scheme of things, it's just not a significant amount of money, regardless of how, you've got your 8-cylinder and your big F-150, guzzling gas and you're driving all day. It's just not that significant, right? So you could spend that time with your energy and your focus and killing brain cells, thinking about the gas prices, inflation, and who's running the country and who's running the state and who's running the city and what decisions they're making. Or you could spend that time, effort, energy, focus on increasing your knowledge, which, by the way, I'm preaching to the choir, because if you're listening to me and you're this far into this podcast, you clearly fall into that. But I challenge you to take that to the next level. I'll challenge you to take the actions that we've talked about here today, put those to practice. And then I would challenge you to go find a local business owner, the chiropractor, the dentist, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, and kick them into it. That's what I would challenge you. So there you go, folks. That's what I got. All I got. Hopefully that was That was of value, a little bit of experiment, by the way, for myself here, too. It's something that I'm working on, but shall see. But anywho, hopefully that provided you guys some value. Hopefully you liked my jokes at the beginning. Maybe you didn't. Don't know. Don't know. Should I close you off with a joke? Okay, I'm going to close you off with a joke here, folks. Okay, here is a conversation between my grandpa and my 10-year-old self. Grandpa says, "Come here, little Carl. I'm going to tell you a story." My grandpa told great stories. So I said, "This is me." And I go, "Awesome, Gramps. Tell me. I love your stories." Grandpa, "When I was young, I used to be an explorer and a hunter." Me, 10-year-old me. "Wow. Really, Gramps?" Grandpa, yeah. This one time I was in a jungle. I was in Africa. I was hunting for a lion. And this is, if you ever watch the movies where they do the safaris, that's where I was. It was super dangerous. 10-year-old me. "Oh, that's amazing, Grandpa. Tell me more. Grandpa, "Well, I was searching for a trail when out of nowhere, a lion jumped out at me and growled, 'Roar!' I shit my pants." Me, "Yeah, I bet you were really scared, Gramps." Grandpa, No. I really shit my pants just now when I went, "Grrr!" Awkward silence in stars. There we go. How was that? And by the way, I'm not supposed to swear on this podcast, so maybe I just got myself in trouble with Apple. Who knows? There you go. There's my closing. There you go. If you like my jokes in the podcast, let me know. But anywho, oh my God, that's all I got. You might be happy to hear that. Who knows? Maybe you want me to keep going. Don't know. But I will tell you this, guys. I appreciate you. I appreciate you listening. I mostly appreciate you taking some action on some of the stuff that I talk about and put out there. And yeah, I genuinely could not, from the most sincerest place. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you listening to the podcast, reading my emails. Lots of you guys are clients, so of course I appreciate that more than you know. And so yeah, there you go. But that's all I got for today. So if you want to, in any way, you'd like to, pay it forward, what have you, or pay it back, or however you want to say that is, pay it forward. Go find a business owner, pick up the phone, send out the messages, knock on the door, phone somebody that knows somebody who knows somebody who will put you on the phone with them, and really, and again, just push the envelope. Don't do your best. Do what it takes to get that individual to start engaging with you, and do what they got to do to take their life, their business, subsequently their marriage and their relationships with folks like their kids, which is what happens because the high tide rises all boats, and that's what I love. So there you go, folks. God bless you. Take care. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you. And I'll see you next week.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at Focused.com.